Between the hills, the stars, the sky, the river so clear, river so clear. Okay, so let's settle into our service of the opening words by Khalil Gibran. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the paths she has traveled, from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. In front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know. It's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. We join Unitarians, Universalists all over the world in lighting our chalice. Freeman, it's time to light the candle here at the front, the big white candle. It's a symbol of the spark of life in each of us. And if you're on Zoom, you have your chalice with you, you can turn on the video, share lighting your candle. We're in good company. If you'd like to stand for these chalice words in the Gray Book 577, stand as you're willing and able, and we'll recite that together. Our chalice words today, 577. It is possible to live in peace. If someone with courage and vision can rise to lead in nonviolent action, the winter of despair can, in the twinkling of an eye, be turned into the summer of hope. It is possible to live in peace. Nonviolence is not a garment to put on and off at will. Its seat is in the heart, and it must be an inseparable part of our being. It is possible to live in peace. Nonviolence, which is a quality of the heart, cannot come by an appeal to the brain. It is a plant of slow growth, growing imperceptibly but surely. It is possible to live in peace. If a single person achieves the highest kind of love, it will be sufficient to neutralize the hate of millions. It is possible to live in peace. If we are to reach real peace in this world, and if we are to carry on a real war against war, we shall have to begin with the children. It is possible to live in peace. The future depends on what we do in the present. It is possible to live in peace. Just keep standing if you will. We're going to have a song. You can put your book down, though. This is original, so it's not in there. And this isn't when your heart is in a holy place, because that one just didn't want to get played this morning. Yeah, there's it. It's your line. Hu aho, hallelujah. Goes like, sounds like. Hu aho, hallelujah. Hu aho, hallelujah. Hu aho, hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah.
Well, good morning again. Good to see the faces that I recognize and good to see new faces, and always good to be in this community. So with technology and everything, wonderful day to walk here. All the Halloween decorations are out. I came prepared, of course. I wanted to stop in at somebody's house and sit there on the porch and then be part of the decorations and kind of scare them when they came out to see what this new piece was. But the other favorite one this morning was to see the pink flamingos being decked out in orange and black instead. So as far as this topic goes, The Places That Scare You was the title of a book by Pema Chodron, who is a well-known Buddhist writer. She's the head of an abbey up in Nova Scotia and is one of the favorite writers for many people. I'm not going to follow her script or her book exactly, but if you're interested, you can always find a copy, The Places That Scare You. So the big idea is that humans are really interesting as a species because, as we know at this time of year and throughout the year, we love to be scared. As long as we are safe, as long as we can always leave the theater after a scary movie, as long as we can leave a bad situation, or as long as we can ignore it. But it's not always possible to leave the places that really do scare us. So what do we do with that situation? To start it, Pema, and I will give a quote from her, puts kind of an interesting perspective on it. Compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It's a relationship between equals. Only when we know our own darkness well can we be present with the darkness of others. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity. So with that in mind, what I thought we would do is just journey together. So with that, I am going to ask if you wish to participate, to take a card. Be kind to yourself in this experiment because we want you to only go to the limits that you feel comfortable with. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is fold that piece of paper, cardboard in half. And on one side, there's going to be three things that you write, and just real brief. The first one that I want you to write is a place that scares you. The next part of it is a person that scares you. And the third is turning inward and finding a thought that you hold that scares you. Okay, now you've got the hard part out. So turn it over to the other side, and we're going to do something a little more comfortable. On this one, a place that you feel secure and comfortable in. The next question is parallel, a person that you feel safe and comfortable with. And the last, a thought that keeps you feeling safe and comfortable. And of course, now we're going to do a little more origami. So fold the card the other way. And on one side, put your personal pronoun, whether it's I, me, they, anything that you find. And then on the other side of the card, put you and they. And now, after all that work, just set it aside for a while. Let it fold out of your mind. This is a little exercise because, as you may know, the things that scare you are out there. And just within like the last month, to bring it close to home, there are these little findings. For a 3-year-old, it's Papa's pumpkin patch. When you get lost in the Bale maze and you can't find your parents. For a 12-year-old, it's wondering whether you should ever go to a skateboard park again because you know that there was another person killed at it while doing what you always found fun. For a 20-something, it's whether the elbow room is a safe place anymore after a murder that happened, a double murder that happened outside it. For you 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, do you dare go to McDonald's anymore? Because you could be held up by gunpoint and asked to buy a Big Mac for somebody. And then for your 50, 60, and 70-year-olds, what will be the results of your next test at the medical clinic? And finally, the fear of funerals, funerals, funerals. And as was mentioned a couple of these times, on a global scale, we now have the fear of what will happen to Israel and Palestine. And finally, on a cosmic basis, the fear that we only have 5 billion more years before the universe is destroyed. So we come to a point then that says, what happens now? And in the words of John Kabat-Zinn, we have reached the full catastrophe living. And this is a point that is kind of the decisive point in our area. I had to come to this point a number of years ago, 40, 50 years ago, because at that time, I was having one of the scariest moments in my life, and that was full-blown panic attacks. If you know anything about them, they take over your mind, they take over your life, and you become pretty immobile. And it was at that point that, having gone to the doctor, I received what I thought at the time was the worst possible information. The physician's assistant said, after I told them I'm having panic attacks and I think I'm dying, and that physician assistant said, well, we all have to die sometime. Was it compassion? I thought not at the time, but later I realized that was the one item that sent me on the path to find a way out. That moment that even the Buddha had discovered in his life. So from that point, and from the point that we are considering now, we need to find a way out of the places that scare you and the things that you just wrote on your card. So from a Buddhist perspective, there are a number of things that the Buddha said, and he approaches life from that of a physician. We have to diagnose what the problem is, and then we find the cures for it. So some of these cures we've already discovered here. The first one at our last session was something called beginner's mind. And that is probably the most important thing to begin the journey of healing and discovery. Because if we're not open to the issues, we're always going to be running away. And this has a lot to do with the factor that humankind for hundreds of thousands of years has had only two modes of operation, fight or flight. And so we have to find a way to get away from that patterning, which is so ingrained in us. The Buddha had a radical concept, and he said, rather than going through the process of always running away, getting our cortisol levels so high that we can't stand it anymore, he said, why don't we face it instead, but do it in a compassionate way? Another remedy that was proposed, and this is something that for those who have meditated, is probably the basis of a lot of meditation. It's just calming the mind, something in Buddhism that's called samadhi, which is to do nothing more than ease the mind, relax, and just bring us into a calm area. The one that we want to talk to today is something called applying the four immeasurables. And the four immeasurables, which, how many remember last fall when I gave a talk on this? The four are loving kindness, compassion, shared joy, and equanimity. And each of these have a part in handling our reactions. So bring your cards back out and just hold them in your hands, because you now are the ones that are going to handle both the joyful parts of your life, the non-scary, and also the scary parts. And you're going to have to be doing this not only for yourself, but for others and the world as well. So as we apply them, we can hold this in our heart, in our mind, what we have written down, and at the same time, make wishes, make thoughts, because this is where it all begins. Sometimes we have no ability to affect the outcome of large situations, but at least we can apply our mind and our heart to these things. So when we apply loving kindness to the places that scare us, and also the places, we apply the love that says, we're all in this together. Just remember that all of you each have your own card. So that's kind of makes it, in this space, a universal place. We all have the places that we fear. We all have the places that we feel comfort. So when we give and hold all of these items equally, we can apply loving kindness to both those things that we don't feel comfortable with, and also those things that we do. When we apply compassion to these same areas, we can remember that everything in the world has their fears, their joys. We're all in this together. And applying shared joy, we remember that those things that provide us happiness are also things that provide other people with happiness. And finally, this is why there is a balance. There's an old saying in Chinese Buddhism that says there are 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows, and we all hold them within us. So this is the balance of the folded card. We hold our joys and we hold our sorrows in equal balance. There is no real difference in them, and we must hold them together. In conclusion, this is a blessing, again, from Pema Chödrön's book. She says, throughout my life, until this very moment, whatever virtue I have accomplished, including any benefit that may come from this book, I dedicate to the welfare of all beings. May the roots of suffering diminish. May warfare, violence, neglect, indifference, and addiction also decrease. May the wisdom and compassion of all beings increase now and in the future. May we clearly see all the barriers we erect between ourselves and others to be as insubstantial as our dreams. May we appreciate the great perfection of all phenomena. May we continue to open our hearts and minds in order to work ceaselessly for the benefit of all beings. May we go to the places that scare us, and may we lead the life of a warrior. Thank you.
Just just wait.